This is the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast, and I'm your host, Trudy Simmons from the Daisy Chain Group, providing platforms for women entrepreneurs to be seen and heard. This platform is for women entrepreneurs that want to hear the real stories of what it takes to be yourself and run a business with all the different hats that you might have to wear. These are the stories of the tenacious, the rebellious, and the resilient women that are working towards the future that they want to build for themselves and their families. Hello and welcome to Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast and Shine You Crazy Daisy book volume 3. And today I am introducing you to Nisha Haq from Iggy and Lime. Nisha, thank you so much for being involved in this whole thing. Tell us about your business.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for having me. So Iggy and Lime, it's a commercial and brand photography business. It's all about bringing the zest to your kind of business or your branding and having it come to life with awesome, badass photography. I love working with small businesses or corporates and just kind of putting a bit of zest into your images and making it a lot more fun.
Amazing. And anybody that's seen my branding photos, they were done by the lovely Nisha. So amazing. Thank you. What really upsets me is reading your chapter and you had someone tell you that your business would fail. How did that impact you and how did you move forward from that?
Yeah, it was a really hard time because I'll give a bit of context of when that happened. So I just graduated from Surrey University from a photography degree. So I was really prepped to do photography. I did 3 years of studying it and I knew I wanted to kind of start my own photography business. And during that time, I hadn't had a job lined up. I moved back to my parental home and 3 years of being an independent student, just kind of lots of changes and everything happening. And I said to my family and stuff, I wanted to set up a photography business because that's kind of the done thing in the industry. And my family are lovely, really supportive, and my family friends and everything. But I think it comes from the mentality of you kind of work your way up in a steady career job. No one in my family or outside of my family were entrepreneurial. So they didn't really know what that meant. And it wasn't a proper job, as many of us self-employed people have heard. So I think it came from that. But also, I think it came from a place where there was the unknown and the fear of who do you think you are kind of thing. And definitely a generational thing as well. Like, me being like a zesty 21-year-old when I want to start my own photography business, and I don't care what anyone else says kind of thing. Very determined, very driven. And I just remember him saying that and saying that I would fail. And it just kind of felt like a whole ton of bricks came on me, like, oh, okay, there's no point even trying then, is there? Kind of thing. It's just like, well, that's not the kind of attitude to give to a young person who wants to set up and have their own dream, which is to have their own photography business. It really did push me and it kind of made me feel like, actually, I want to prove all these naysayers wrong, even more so. So it made me feel more than anything, even more determined to prove people wrong. It was a lot to do with at that time and a lot of changes. But I think I took it as a way to kind of excuse the French, put a middle finger up to kind of people who didn't say I couldn't do what I know I could do deep down inside. I knew I had the talent. I knew I had the skills. I knew there was people who understood, like in the entrepreneurial community, that this was this something I could do. And regardless of people who look like me, I know there's not many people who do have a photography business. That's why it's also really important for me to kind of represent that. But yeah, it did make me feel kind of deflated at first, but then after a while, it did kind of put fire on my belly.
I think this is the thing, isn't it? Is that people are going to have their opinions from their backgrounds, and from their issues and judgments and things that they've had put in their way. But when you put those onto somebody else, you just don't know the impact that it could have. And with anybody, it could take them down that path of, well, if it's going to fail, then what's the point? Or wait, hang on. You're talking to.
Yeah, but see nothing coming. Yeah,
that ain't happening. So I love that you went that way, obviously, and decided that middle finger was going up. What made you apply for the Association of Independent Professionals and the SelfEmployed Awards, and what happened from that? Because you were employed at that stage.
Yeah. So kind of short form is the IPSY Awards, and I saw kind of someone in my network kind of apply. They were a finalist, and they're good friends of mine, they're videographers, and I saw okay, they've got a lot of PR from that, and they were kind of getting a lot of kind of work from it and stuff. And I've kind of heard about it in the industry and stuff, and I even heard about it through other different networks. So I thought, okay, let's just give it a go. What have I got to lose? But there's also an element of me of like, I didn't feel like a proper freelancer because I wasn't full time. And I think many of us kind of, when you're in that transitionary period, we don't feel like, oh, we're not full time. So, we're still employed or whatever. So I didn't feel, was I good enough, I suppose, in the theme of my chapter, was I good enough to apply for the awards? So I left it until the very last day after they extended the deadline, of course. I was like, well, I really have to do it now. There's no other time to do it because I want to be too old. I was going for the young entrepreneur category. So this is now another, otherwise next year I'm too old, so I can't even apply. So let's just go for it. And I'm so glad I did because had I not kind of clicked that apply button, I wouldn't be where I am today, I don't think, without that kind of progression. It really put me on that platform, going through that awards process. And even if I didn't win, it was kind of meeting the judges, getting in the industry, meeting loads of other freelancers from completely different industries and seeing how they work and kind of bouncing off from them. And just that kind of, it did kind of catapult me into kind of going into full time after that. So on stage, I was like, I'm gonna go full time. And I announced
Nisha, did you win?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that definitely gave me the confidence boost to go, no, I am good enough. I should go full time. And I had the financial means to go full time. It was just myself holding me back to thinking, oh, I can't go full time. Yeah. So that was definitely the kind of boost I needed to kind of say, yes, I can do this one thing.
What is in the chapter and is that when you stood on the stage, and I know you just kind of said it really fast, but when you stood on stage as you won this massive award that you just applied for and you'd gone through the process of it, you stated, I'm going to go full time. From that moment on, you did.
Yeah, that was pretty scary. I think it was the moment and the buzz and the atmosphere and just all the lights and everything. You kind of like a deer in headlights kind of thing when you're up on the stage. But I felt like this is the moment. This is when, like, how much more validation do I need to go to truly believe in myself that I can be full time and be self sufficient in my own kind of income. And that was when I said it out loud. It is also kind of that accountability of like, well, there's a whole room of industry people heard that I said that and probably recorded it. So I've got no turning back really. And that was for me also vocalizing it to myself is also a way to kind of say, yeah, no, I am going to do this. I do believe in myself. And a month after winning the awards, I put full-time employment and was full-time in my business.
Amazing. In your bio, you talk about more diverse representation in business so that anyone can achieve their goals. Why is that important to you?
I think it definitely ties into when I was first starting out as a freelancer. Is I didn't see many people who looked like me, and I think that's also the mentality of many people who either come from like immigrant families or kind of like people of color, that kind of the ethnic minorities, who a lot of the kind of representation or the media around being an entrepreneur, even that word a lot of people don't like using, it's kind of the white middle class male with a briefcase and a pinstripe suit, very outdated, and that kind of vision in someone's head kind of just, oh, what's not music? Oh, who do I think I am to kind of do that? And I think that over time and over generations, it will obviously, the next generation after us, there's so many amazing entrepreneurs, including the generation. We are changing the landscape of what it means to be a business person. And I think that's really important in the psyche of when you're thinking about starting your own business, is just to have it on a level playing field in the first place, because it's hard enough running in a business, let alone all the other things that we put on ourselves, especially as businesswomen. So having that initial belief that actually I can do it. If so-and-so down the road is doing it and she looks like me or she has a similar background to me, then I feel like I've got the confidence to, yeah, maybe I could do that. And I think that's what it was. Luckily, I'm the kind of person who had the drive for myself. I didn't necessarily have many role models that I looked up to when I first started, but I know if if you don't necessarily have that drive or that support from the initial kind of get-go, I was lucky to have a university that really supported me when I first started out with my business. Then it's really hard for you to kind of get that first step on the ladder. So that's for me why it's really important to have that representation for young people or people who are looking to start their own business, so they can just have that initial belief. And
I really want you to know that being a great role model for yourself and in talking about diversity and representing ethnicities or minorities and achieving your goals, which is what you have absolutely achieved, and being a role model for anybody out there with the zest and drive that you have and passion for your industry and for business. I think to get your story out there further afield is so important, because everybody needs to see who you are and what you've accomplished and what you've achieved, from being told that your business is going to fail and that feeling of you're not good enough, which is what your chapter's about. I really want people to hear what you're saying in a really positive way, because you've done it.
No, thank you. And that's, for me, that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to participate in your amazing projects and your books, is because that's the story that you're saying, and that's kind of the message that you're giving to loads of other business people and business women around the world. So yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to be part of it. So thank you.
Zesty. If there was one lesson that you'd want other entrepreneurs to know, what would it be?
To never give up, even, and I imagine many people have said that, but it really is true. There's been so many times, and people, not just myself telling me, but other people telling me that, who do you think you are, or you're going to fail and stuff. So not to listen to that, and to kind of really believe deep down, to really dig deep down into yourself. Yeah, it's going to be really, really hard. There's going to be moments where you're bawling your eyes out because it's so big and hard. But then there's going to be times where you're going to feel on top of the world because you made someone's life feel that extra bit better. Or, for example, the kind of work that I do, I get to work with amazing business people, and if there's a new startup and they're just kind of getting their new brand photos for the first time, and they're like, oh, it's not what I look like, I look amazing, I feel really good, that kind of emotional kind of connection I have with my clients, and making them feel like, oh yeah, I have the confidence, I do feel badass or whatever, and knowing that I did that to help them on their journey. I want people to feel like, yeah, you can do it, and that's, it has to come from within to have that passion. So to never give up, because you will get there deep down. Perfect.
And what's your favorite piece of business software?
Piece of business software. So as a photographer, one thing that I can't live without is Adobe Lightroom. So yeah, quite a technical one, but even so, it does. Without it, I would be able to edit all my photos that I deliver to my clients. So that's definitely one I would recommend. In terms of just general business software, definitely get yourself a CRM system. So that's kind of something for all your clients to kind of have everything online. I remember I used to have loads of paper contracts and paper forms, and then moving on to online systems, like, amazing. So yeah, if you're transitioning, definitely look into the CRM systems online.
Fantastic, Nisha. Always a pleasure to see you and speak to you and hear more of your story, and the chapter covers so much more, so well worth diving into. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Trudy.
Thank you so much for watching the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast. If you've liked what you've seen today, then please make sure that you click the subscribe button to this channel to see more inspiration and motivation as more of these stories keep coming out. And if you want even more, click on the link below this video and go and have a look at the series of books, Shine On You Crazy Daisy, and get even more inspiration and motivation for you and your business.